Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. Brock and Ellis joins us now live from New York. I am Mark Hayes, based in ATL. Shouty. All right, let's get right to it. First of all, what's really pissing me off over this weekend is Elon Musk and his just indiscriminate cuts. And, it we're cutting, we're making cuts at the VA, Brock. Please help me understand why. Social Security hasn't missed a payment in 90 years. I mean, another, agency that's being cut for no good reason. But now the people who give the most, who made the ultimate sacrifice, who said, I will sacrifice my life for this country, are now being hit the hardest. Please help me understand, because I can't make
This,
heads or tails up.
I mean, it just shows how indiscriminate across the board the cuts are because the savings that are going to be any any organization has inefficiency, right?
Right.
Private sector, public sector, any group of people working together, it's never working at the total Swiss watch, perfection. So you can
Right.
always argue that there needs to be some, waste that's cut out of any system as it grows, right? So that's the easiest argument in the world. So the cuts are indiscriminate across the board. The VA has a big dollar number on it because there's a lot of soldiers that need health care. So they're just cutting there like everywhere else. Strategically, it makes no sense if you want to message yourselves as a party of strength. And especially also everyone always wants to be on the side of our troops because like you just said, the troops are sacrificing their lives for all the rest of us, right? We're all sympathetic and rooting for the troops. We never do right by them when they come home, but now we're just going to gut them. So of all the cuts, you know it just shows there's no empathy, there's no sympathy, there's no heart, right, in any of the
Oh,
decisions.
hold on. Let me stop you there. We're asking for empathy and sympathy and heart from
if
the
you
from the South African apartheid guy.
But if you're going to find it anywhere, right, wouldn't you find it in that soldier that's lost limbs because he was out there in Kandahar, because we threw our troops in the middle of to fight these wars for us, to fight the war on terror,
Unwinnable
right?
wars.
And they
Unwinnable
win
wars.
wars, unwinnable wars, and go but we were angry as a country, right? So we sent a lot of them to really dangerous places to root out terrorism, right? And go go kill people on our behalf, and a lot of them, even if not physically bruised, the PTSD, right? So I'm just saying, even if you're as heartless as anyone out there, if you have just a sliver of concern of other people, you at least have it for those that went out and fought, died, and got maimed on your behalf, right? I mean, that's just at least
Would
you
think.
start there. Even if you don't go anywhere else, you would think at least there you would be like, oh, let's take care of these people. I'll cut
You would
Medicaid,
think.
also Social Security, I'll cut U.S. foreign aid, blah 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 blah. But like, we're gonna at least take care of the people, our soldiers, fought for us, right?
Right.
Especially since we want additional soldiers down the road to continue fighting for us. So let's show a good hand here that we're going to take care of you after you fight, because obviously recruiting is going to tank when as it seeps in that your country doesn't give a shit about its fighters.
Right. But hold it, Brock. Why would anyone sign up after the Mad King said, "What's in it for them? These guys are suckers and losers. Keep those guys that are badly injured and missing legs and limbs away from me. I don't want those guys around me. It looks weak." I mean, he doesn't understand the basics of, first of all, he doesn't understand government and how it works. And he doesn't understand human decency and human dignity, and he doesn't appreciate it. So it's no surprise, I guess, that he hurts the people who made the biggest sacrifices, and he's still letting Elon, run wild, even though his cabinet heads are like, "Come on, man, this is ridiculous." That there's clashes. People are like, "I can't run." An organization with this guy just running around, with a hatchet behind my back. I mean, it
Well,
makes no sense.
apparently,
That's the
yeah.
way to government. There's no way to govern.
Apparently, apparently, Rubio blew up on him at a meeting. They've tried to downplay and call it lies, which tells us we know it happened. But we know
Right.
Rubio was steamed, right? He'd been embarrassed on the world stage, taking people taking
Yep.
photos of him in that Zelensky meeting, and then he has to come to another meeting and hear Musk say he's not firing people fast enough. So apparently, he blew up at Musk, and then Duffy. Right, our road rules guy running transportation was like, Jesus Christ, I got fucking planes crashing left and right. And you're telling me, I'm not firing enough people at the FAA. So apparently
Right.
Duffy even blew a gasket. That guy can't even show his face in on the street, right? Because
No.
he's such a
No.
fraud and so bad. So he's getting heckled everywhere he goes. So he blew up at Elon as well. So I'm glad to see
Right.
there's a little, civil unrest within the MAGA movement, but the train keeps rolling down the tracks, the cuts keep happening, and the negative ramifications keep rolling along. So there's
Well,
cracks, but it hasn't busted apart yet.
yeah, and we know, a trip to the VA is no fun anyway, right? When it's working well, right? It's no fun. It's hard to get an appointment. We've seen, countless numbers of stories, pointing out some of the inefficiencies. We get it. But cutting 80,000 employees doesn't remedy that, right? And we're our veterans are claiming they're not getting the services they need now. So you're going to cut even more employee. Like, you're not endearing yourself at all. And Elon Musk doesn't care, right?
Yeah, he
Because
doesn't care.
it's all about his access and his future projects that he wants to
Yeah.
insert into our governance process, whatever tools he has, that can replace these people. I
Does
think that's
does this
a
does the
objective.
shoddy treatment of our veterans, does that move the needle in terms of, does it help the Democrats because they get such an easy message to be, the side that cares about it's the troops, right? So it should help the Democratic messaging because that's like a layup that drops into their lap. Will it also trigger action? Because a lot of veterans are out fighting war. There are a lot of them with the right wing mentality. Might makes right. You definitely
Right.
get are they going to sour, right? There's a lot of Trump voters
Right.
in the
And,
veteran
and-
community. Are they going to sour on the MAGA movement?
well, look at Virginia. You know, all the cuts they're making in Virginia, it's absolutely ridiculous. And like, one out of every three workers that's getting cut is a veteran. So, it's already impacting the veterans community in a big, nasty way. And I heard a Democrat from Virginia today talking about how they were planning to fight back, saying they had a unified message now. And then he goes on to say, oh gosh, I can't remember his name, that after he said we have a unified message, he said we may be all delivering it in a different way. That's not a unified message. I mean, the horrific treatment of our veterans is an easy mess. Like you said, it's a layup, right? It's not even a left-handed layup. It's a dominant hand layup. I mean, it's easy, slam dunk, right? And they can't get that right. So I'm beginning to, it really feels like they're waiting till 2026. And I don't know if there's even going to be an election in 2026. We may not have any government standing. We may not have an election board. We may not have equipment for elections, right? We definitely won't have, poll workers that are going to administer a free and fair election. And how can we trust the results with the Doge Bros at the helm?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of election, it's gonna be interesting. That Wisconsin election with this on the state Supreme Court is huge. Elon's
Yeah.
throwing a lot of money in there. They're trying to swing that court back to the right. And then we do have the special election. At least one of them, I think, in Florida is in really early April. That's coming down the pipe, but it's a heavy red district. I don't know if it's the one on the east side of Florida or if it's the Matt Gates
Yeah.
district one that comes first. I think it's that guy Josh Weil more on the Melbourne, Florida side. But both of
Okay.
them are like two-thirds Republican. Like, are they even
Right.
possible to be flipped? I mean,
Right.
probably not. I still don't think the party is nationalized those
No.
races enough and really tried to mobilize, fundraising. That's one thing people might give money to is to
Right.
local elections to try to flip the Congress. Um,
Right.
And that's once again where you can get that messaging of, we'll take care of the troops. Like just, you know, build that in to the
Yeah.
pitch, because then it's a bigger pitch about we'll take care of the American people. We care about the American people. And if you can't care about our soldiers, what are the odds that, the MAGA world is going to care about anybody else if they don't actually
Right.
care about their soldiers? What are the
Right.
chances they give a shit about you when they
Right.
don't even give a shit about the soldiers that came home and just fought for
Slim to
all of
none.
us?
Slim to none. Speaking of soldiers, who really cares about these Ukrainian soldiers? Because it's painfully obvious that Leon and the Mango Mussolini definitely don't give a damn about the Ukrainian soldiers that are dying now with these ramped up attacks coming from the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin. Now, Putin's puppet has all of a sudden decided we're not going to help. We're not going to take any action. And one of the most critical things they did, in my estimation, was, take away intelligence sharing and satellite imagery. They don't even know where the Ruskies are right now. So they can't plan proper counterattacks. They're not getting the weaponry they need. And basically, we are literally handing over a people to Vladimir Putin. The question is why?
Yeah, we've definitely tipped the scales by not helping. We've actively, emboldened Russia. We're making it easier for them. Ukraine, Europe scrambling to help, but they don't have the firepower. Then you got Musk out there threatening to turn off his Starlink satellites, right? Now he's in a
Right.
pissing match with Poland, who's like, well, we're going to look elsewhere. Just shows Musk has way too much power.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the why is, it's kind of been the obvious why since Trump 1.0, right?
Yeah.
He's either he owes Russia something to have something on there. He has an unnatural affinity for, one of our biggest rivals in the world.
Right.
And he's basically under, and the, everything with him's a lie under the guise of wanting to quote save lives and end the war. He's basically putting Ukraine in a position where they're gonna feel a lot of pain and they might have to
Right.
limp their way into a fucking, first a retreat and then into a treaty that, gives up a lot of their territory, right? And Trump will
Right.
have just written that, you know, he sort of wrote that check for Russia.
I
And the
mean, and
American
it,
people, well, we're not on board with that. But it just goes to show that there used to be a statement that public sentiment is everything. But the public's like 70% plus on the side of Ukraine. And the,
Ukraine.
the
Yeah.
politicians used to be 70%, but all those MAGA politicians are so quiet. They won't say a word. They made a whole career, right, on being anti-Russian, people like Rubio. And now
Right.
you don't hear a word from them.
Not a peep.
And Ukraine's survivability is, I don't want to, I think it's beyond at risk at this point. I think it's kind of unlikely, you
Yeah.
know. The whole country may not go under, but
Well,
a good portion of it will.
and then again, Brock, these are our allies in these countries surrounding Russia and Ukraine. And you know, the problem with MAGA is it doesn't have a global mentality. It doesn't understand the connective tissue on the global scale, right?
Mark,
So what
can we say, hold on,
happens?
I just got to jump
Yeah,
in. Can we say that there are allies?
yeah.
Do they think that they're
Well,
allies with the United States right now? Or are they in a sort
absolutely
of
not.
a
Absolutely
wary
not.
gray area? So we, the people, think they're our allies, but I don't
Right.
think at the government level they think they're allies. And I think at this point that the world is, they try to say like, we love the American people, we just don't like your government. But I think the world's starting to get pissed at the American people
Oh,
because
no doubt.
we haven't done anything about our
Yeah.
government.
Yeah.
And we're allowing Trump, in essence, to set a tone that doesn't fit with the American people and doesn't fit with what the allies thought we were, right? That's
Right.
Canada. Canada's,
Right.
at the beginning they were just pissed and booing the anthem and we're just mad at Trump, but they're boiling up in anger at us, at me, at
Us.
you, at
Yeah.
us. because we
Yep.
haven't done shit yet.
That's a great point. That is a great point. And, and I forgot that, the global community no longer trusts us. They no longer expect us to be there. That's why Europe's running around scrambling now, trying to get weapons packages together and whatever they can muster, to ward off Russia, because the ripple effect, Brock, could be Xi Jinping going into Taiwan and just throwing the entire world balance of power out of kilter. Like, what happens if China invades Taiwan? Now, is that World War III? Like, what? I mean, we are really playing with fire. We are in a murky area here. And quite frankly, it's frightening. Like, the percentages for these things to happen are going up by the day. And Trump is sending, personal letters to Iran. Now he says he wants to negotiate this, that, and the third. He doesn't know how to negotiate anything. If he's running again, we went through this with Trump 1.0. Now we're back with Mango Mussolini again, 2.0. If he's running the country like he ran his own businesses, he's going to run us out of business,
He's
right?
running
We
us out
we
of
know
business.
that.
We had the Paris Accord. We had an agreement with Iran that
Right,
had them,
right,
probably wasn't a perfect agreement. Like just like there's always waste somewhere. I'm sure it wasn't to
right,
the letter of the law exactly as, if we sat down and wrote the script on what we'd like to see. But that's what international relations is about. You make some compromises, try to get the best that you can get at any point in time. Iran had agreed to it. Maybe they were cheating, but
right,
you did have the ability to go in and check what was going on. Yeah, maybe they were doing shit on the sly. Like we can't really trust adversaries, but there was an accord in place. Trump ripped
right,
it up,
right,
right? Now there's nothing in place. Now he's trying to go back to negotiate with Iran. They don't trust him. Nobody trusts him. And
right.
and
And
therefore they
and
don't
that's
trust
this
us. Therefore they don't trust
right,
us.
right. And here's what I want to know. All right, we've got what, four four living presidents, or three, four, right? Bush, Obama, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Biden.
No, and Biden, yeah,
Why
Biden.
aren't any of them sounding the alarm? President Bush took in an LA Clippers game the other night and got a huge standing ovation, round of applause, GOAT status. But no one's weighing in on the consequences of these again. Let's do away with this is not a normal presidency. I
Yeah,
understand you don't like to criticize the person sitting in the Oval Office. That's been tradition. Fuck a tradition.
I know. I don't understand. What do they think they're protecting? That's Merrick Garland's, that's John Kelly and the
Yes.
other military leaders who didn't want to, criticize, Trump and, they're just defending something that's not going to be there anymore. And
Right.
it's the missing piece of the sense of urgency
Right.
that is why we don't have a leadership yet on the left, except for the old faithfuls of Jasmine Crockett and AOC,
Right.
and like we said, we like what Chris Murphy's doing in Connecticut, and Pritzker's been good, and Bernie's out there
It's been
sounding the
great.
alarm on the class warfare message. He has his lane, and
Yep.
he's kind of pounding his theme, but no one else is really kind of coming out and saying it as aggressively as it needs to be said, and
Right.
therefore we still don't have the leadership as our stature in the world. I can't even say it is declining, right? Like it's plummeted.
Right.
We're a rogue nation right now. So let's look to the action items, right? Women's Day, International Women's Day had a whole bunch of marches out there.
Right.
The scientists got out there. Bill
Oh,
Nye and the
for
scientists got
science.
out there
Yes.
and like we're
Huge.
marching all over the place. I mean, they got like 50 guards in front of a Tesla in Chicago because there's been Molotov cocktails at Tesla stations globally, but certainly here in the US. New York, they
Fuck
trashed it.
around and find out.
I don't know who's going to buy a fucking Tesla these days. Who'd even want to be in those
Exactly.
showrooms? But those it's interesting how that's become the outlet for the anger of like the white people. It was like they're going
Yeah.
after the Tesla dealerships, but you know what? They're out
Right.
there and I love it, right? So once again, we're having these brush fires all over the place of protests for different reasons. We had a huge one
Right.
right in front of the White House where they unfurled the largest Ukrainian flag ever
Right.
made. Thing was fucking huge. It
That
like
thing
took
was
over
huge,
that
like a
whole
football
front of
field.
the DC, in front of the DC, and at least it brought some, visibility to what's going on in Ukraine. So we have all these different factions, and what we keep saying is like, where's the unified message? Where's
Right.
the unified marches? What's going to coalesce
Well,
these groups? These different anger, these pockets of anger.
and just think about it. This is we're so reactionary to what Trump is doing. Now we've all splintered off into these little mini protests. But what we need is that gigantic meteorite, right? We don't need all these little, fireballs. We need one huge coalesced effort pointing in the same direction. And see, and you know what, Brock, stark contrast for us. Do you think 10 Republicans would have gone against Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert if they were being censured on the House floor? Never. I submit never, Your Honor. Would have
No way.
never done it.
No way.
Ain't
They
no way.
sat in a
That's the
no way.
difference. And that's the difference. They ain't like us, or we ain't like them. I
No,
mean,
a bunch of like white reps said that the institution and the protocols were more important. eh,
yep,
And instead of backing up a black counterpart, making obviously an obvious argument about
right,
Medicaid, right? And wanting to protect the most vulnerable Americans and the poorest Americans who are on Medicaid. And people, they couldn't come around for that. It's still, the protocol, the institution was more important than the fight.
right.
And that's why we're losing. And we're still losing. But it is, it is gaining a little steam. It was good to see like all those women's marches out there again,
Yes.
because they kind of come out in numbers, and really, more women should be on the side of the left. Why are women
And
MAGA? I mean, MAGA at its heart doesn't want women to have
doesn't
any
want women doing
any
anything.
influence and power. They want women back in the
No.
kitchen. And now with the Save Act, they don't even want women to be able to vote anymore, right? They're going to make it almost
Right.
possible for many women to vote if they actually change their name to their husband's name, right? They're going to make it harder for
Right.
them to vote. So there's a voter suppression
Right.
effort
With the
going
birth
on,
certificate.
right,
Yes.
targeted at women of all
At
things. Like we're
women.
turning
Yep.
back women's suffrage. So I mean,
I mean,
you
it's
would think
crazy. And
you
even in Europe.
think that group with women, with the scientists, with the pro-Ukraine group, with the anti-Doji group that's mad at all the cuts. Um,
Yep.
Anyone LGBTQ who's have all their rights stripped away,
Your civil
right?
rights, the
Yeah,
rights
so
getting
right.
stripped
So
away.
you have all these groups that you think should all be on the same team, should all be marching in lockstep, should all be stacking these grievances and this anger on top of each other. Instead, we're stacking them next to each other. And we just,
Right.
one and one hasn't made three yet, right? It's one plus
Right.
one plus one plus one plus one, because there's no one that's, rallying the message that's bringing it all together.
And
And I still feel like black and white hasn't come together. I'm very surprised that outside of AOC, I just don't see much from the Hispanic leaders, political
yeah,
leaders, external leaders. Like it's kind of there's been a quiet amongst that group.
right.
Um,
And
I'm not sure
I,
why.
I would love to try to resurrect Beto O'Rourke. Ruben Gallego should be out in front. Beto O'Rourke almost pulled off the impossible, almost flipped.
Yeah.
So, we should
And
be
Colin
bringing
Allred
somebody
got
like that
close
back.
too, and now
And
these are
now
people
where's
had good
he?
follows. I like the way
Yep.
Michael Walls, because he stayed in the job, right? He stayed as governor of Minnesota, is making a lot of noise because he's in a seat. But all the people
Done.
who aren't in a seat I would think like, what are they doing with their time? Like, they still have
Right,
a voice, they still had a big following,
right.
and they still could, should be a part of,
Because now you're an
coalescing,
influencer.
coalescing
Yes.
into being influencers. Yeah, you're right. Being influencers, getting big groups together, doing big, they could do town halls. They could just do an
No
American town
doubt.
hall, just an
No
American
doubt.
town hall, and get a big crowd to listen to them and then talk about actions. And it's just
Especially
been
Kamala.
really
Uh,
absent.
Whether Kamala runs again remains to be seen. But here's the thing. She knew she had a huge following. And right now is not the time to go start baking cookies and playing house. You are too important a figure on the Democratic landscape, especially one that now has become void of leadership since the campaign has ended. What have we heard once or twice from her since the campaign ended?
What,
We
what if
need her voice.
what if Kamala does like an online, individual brings on Kamala Harris and she's going to
Right.
talk for a couple hours. First of all, fucking millions of people would sign up. And if
Yep.
she just said, "Look, I lost,
Piss
or
Trump
did
off.
I lost? Was it rigged? We don't know. There's never been an investigation. Did we have
Right.
momentum? Yes, in 100 days. Did we have, what appeared to be a real movement going? Absolutely. Did
Yep.
everything we warned about on the campaign trail starting to
It's
happen and
happening.
unravel? Like, what can we do now? Like, what are we going to do now?
Right.
And maybe come with a bunch of action items. Say we have to do this, this, and this. Like, we have to be active. We have to be vocal. We have to be out there, and like, just show huge numbers. Show huge numbers. Huge number. There's a scientific study that says only like 3% of a population has to mobilize in order for peaceful protests to work. You should take a
We
look
can
at that.
get that easily. That's an easy
10
number.
million people. It's 10, 15 million people.
And all we need to do is take a page out of Trump's book. Start having rallies. I'd go and listen to Kamala for an hour and some DJ and bring out another influencer, right? Let's get people off their butts because you know how much it would piss Trump off to see 15, 17,000 people fill up an arena while he's president, right? And
Spending the whole
have
and,
Kamala
and
come out and say, I told y'all.
and spending the
Woo!
whole and spending the whole time just ripping Trump,
Just ripping it,
policy by
ripping it.
policy, ripping him a new asshole all over the place. Like Bernie's doing, getting 4,000 people in Wisconsin, and he's just
Right,
focusing on the oligarchy, right?
right,
He's spending more time on Musk than he even is on Trump, right? He's like talking past Trump, which
right,
maybe pisses him off also that he's not even the focus, right? But Bernie
right,
has his
right,
lane. I want the people that even can get the bigger crowd because they're more, even better unifiers, or it can be Bernie
right.
and someone else. It could be, I mean, but Bernie and
Well, let's
Michelle
get them
Obama,
all.
Bernie and Michelle Obama would fill fucking, Soldier Field in Chicago with 70,000 people and just talk
Or we
about
just go
America
do
and
greatest hits.
American values, and talk about shared values, and talk
Right.
about that. I want a multiracial, multicultural group of people going around talking about the shared values amongst us and what
Yep.
stitches us together, and getting that the we message instead of Bernie's good on the me message. Your money, your right,
Right. Right.
your minimum wage and your workers' rights and this and that, but then get some other people that are a little, I think, more visionary about getting the entirety of America, onto the plate.
And but Brock, that's the way.
Buttigieg could do it. Buttigieg could definitely be a big part of it if if
Look,
he decides to.
and we got all these young rising stars. Let's get them out here and let's get them getting people fired. Like, I'm going to go see Jasmine Crockett on stage. I'm going to go see Buttigieg. I'm going to go see Michelle Obama. I'm going to go see I'm gonna go see Amy Klobuchar. I'm gonna go see these people because I want to hear what I'm gonna go see Bernie. But we should take all these people who are leading these movements, put them on stage, and then we'll prioritize, right?
And
It
our
seems like
side, yeah.
like
Well,
thousands of
they can have,
that's
if you
come
have
together.
multiple speakers could talk on different topics. They could each have like sort of a topic that really they hit on. So no one person has to talk for an hour and they can do a bunch of 10, 15-minute speeches. But our the opposition, our side of the ledger, we want to get together. We want to see how
Right.
big we are. We want to see how loud we can get. We want the camaraderie. We want to share the pain and the anger with other
No
people.
doubt.
So like we
No
need
doubt.
that. We need that. Wow, if we came, I mean, that's something we're gonna have to start hammering home. We got to start getting a call to action for some of these sideline leaders. Maybe they don't feel it's like their place right now.
Yeah.
And it's so very
Well,
much
it
their
is.
place.
Because
And
it's
even
much
if we
more than sending out a sky or a tweet. Like we need action, real action, mobilization, and we need it now because
Bernie's Bernie's success should get people thinking that you could actually do a barnstorming tour off
yes,
cycle. You don't need an election necessarily to
right,
be the focus, but although it doesn't hurt if you happen to go into Wisconsin where there's going to be the Supreme Court vote. Oh, you happen to do something down in Florida where there's going to be a few congressional races. Like, does it? It's not a crazy notion to go into those places that matter, but you don't have to come to New York
right,
City. Go
right.
to Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
I
Brock, think
mean,
about it. A brand new social media site got 35 million people on it in Blue Sky, right? What is it, 35, 40 million people on it?
yeah, I think it's a
That
35.
lets you know people are looking for an outlet. And almost everyone that comes on there says, oh my God, thank God. I was getting sick of that toxic environment on X,
Yeah,
right? Every time I
yeah.
post something, some hater from MAGA comes, saying something crazy to me. But the point is you got 35 million people to come over and say, you know what? I need a better, smarter, more meaningful conversation, and they're getting it on Blue Sky. So why can't we get it in town halls? Because we
Mhm.
could if we mobilize and work together. Ebony and Ivory, Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder did it. Why can't we?
Yeah, I think that's a little out of the box. I I maybe just the party and the people, party leaders don't think that that's what they should be doing. But like we said, we can get some of the
Right.
people who are not sitting in an office right now, and it never hurts their like notoriety just to be
Their
out there,
cachet.
just out there, getting a big crowd. Never hurts to get a big crowd. Um,
And call the money you take in, charge 20, 25, $50 a ticket or whatever, and call it a fundraiser.
maybe a
I don't
fundraiser.
care,
Yeah. And we'll get some
you know,
we'll get some musicians out there. We'll get some
no
musicians out
doubt.
there.
No doubt. All right, bro.
All right, I think yeah, I
Uh,
like that idea. I was about to crack a joke, like, geez, if we can get 100 people, 100 viewers listening to us, then there must be like 100,000 willing to listen to Michelle Obama
right.
and Pete
Right.
Buttigieg. They can talk in black.
Right.
They can talk in black and white. Kamala,
No doubt.
with
Absolutely.
Kamala and Beto O'Rourke got to be worth like at least 1,000x, right? Maybe 100.
We get Liz Cheney out there. I mean, there's people out. Michael Steele. I like Michael Steele's podcast.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
he's
he's
really
he's out on
good.
TV. I mean, look,
Yeah, he's on MSNBC on weekend, but get Michael Steele out there. I mean, he'll go, and he's
you
not
know
he's
what?
not pulling any punches.
You know what? Also, and we could pull something right out of the Trump playbook. Trump,
Yeah,
right? Trump
absolutely.
at his rallies, Trump would just lob shit out there and see
Yep.
which things got applause and which things fell
And
flat. The
which
shit
things
that
didn't.
fell flat,
Yep.
he would never say again. The nickname
Yep.
that got an applause line, he would say over and over, and then he would double down on that, and that would be part of his routine. So if we're not sure how to
Yep.
get this unified, multiracial, multicultural, pro-democracy, pro-science, pro-LGBT, pro-immigrant message together, well, let's get some people out in front of some big crowds and let's see which part of the message really riles people up. Is it Bernie's side of the message? Is it
What resonates?
the loss of the message? Is it some of the other factors or the sense that we're losing, the sense of ourselves? And then the message will coalesce from the crowd, right? It's like we'll be crowdsourcing the message. and then it'll get
All
honed
right,
over time, and it'll be
we're
better.
gonna
Yeah, we're
and we're
gonna.
gonna stay on this theme.
Yeah,
It's the rally call. Rally caps, baby. Let's
yeah.
put them on. You got yours, I got mine. It's the
Rally
rally
hour.
cap, baby. Let's do it. All right, my friend.
All right,
Same
Mark.
time,
Always a
tonight,
pleasure.
same bad channel.
All right, my friend. Take care.
All right, see you soon.
Bye bye.
Peace.